Welcome to our finally finished brand new kitchen. Now let's get into it. So today we're going to speak about the renovation and the kitchen, primarily just the new stuff, just the kitchen being finally done. We've been trying to film this video for weeks now, waiting for a few backorder items to finally come in, and we finally have them and we're ready to finally show you guys. So we're going to start with the massive alleyway that we've built in. Most people would have brought this beautiful island and made it even larger. Typically, that's what you would do in this space, but we didn't do that for two reasons. Now, this main space is not that large. When you're trying to fit in a dining room, a living room, and a kitchen in this space, we couldn't make it work. So instead of putting a standard dining room, which let's be honest, people sit at twice a year, we decided to do a dine-in kitchen or a dine-in island. So we're gonna actually be able to fit 8 chairs around the island, which we're very excited about. It is still a very large island. That was the main reason why we did it this way. The second reason though was to make sure that the aisle itself was accessible for me no matter what state I'm in. That I need to bring my walker into the house and use it to be in the kitchen, that I, maybe one day end up in a wheelchair. No matter what happens, the point of this renovation was really to future-proof this house as much as we could. And so we made sure that it was gonna be as accessible as humanly possible. And that's why the alleyway is so large. So in hindsight, we've been loving the extra space. It's really allowed us to just have both of us in here when we can and just not be in each other's way, which has just been absolutely fabulous. For those of you who are wondering, this kitchen was built by Hawthorne Kitchens in Winnipeg, Manitoba. They have been absolutely fabulous to work with. They're actually a subcontractor from our main contractor, which is how we met them, but they do just beautiful work. We have enjoyed working with them and all the wonderful little things that we didn't even think about that they put in this kitchen for us that we are just absolutely loving. So let's show you all the features. So the biggest thing is we wanted to fit as many drawers as humanly possible in the kitchen. Our last kitchen was a lot of cabinetry and a lot of doors and shelving, but we really wanted to focus on drawers because you can then make a drawer specific to one thing and keep things as clean as possible. Now, we won't be opening a lot of drawers in this video just because not a lot of them are organized yet, but that's the end goal and why we did so many drawers. Now, let's get into it. So first things first is our Bosch dishwasher. We had a Bosch dishwasher in the old house, absolutely loved it. Now we did have to get a bit of a different model in this particular case due to the fact that we wanted a white dishwasher. All of our appliances that we could get in white, we got in white. That was a feat in itself, which is why none of the appliances are from the same company. They're all from different companies. We also wanted certain very specific things in our appliances. So it was a challenge for the appliance people to find us what we wanted, but we did get almost everything we wanted. So we were very happy with all of the services that we got. And thank you, Midland Appliances, for working with us so diligently to make sure that we had everything the way we wanted it. On to our wonderful sink. This is actually a pretty special sink. The sink has what you call a smart divide. This is a fairly new concept in the whole sink world. But essentially what we wanted to do was to make sure that if you had something very large, like we love having 2 sinks and having 2 cavities, but it does have one big downfall. And that's when you have large things like roasters or things when you cook for a lot of people or big casserole dishes and stuff like that. They can be really annoying to fill sinks and teeter-totter them over and trying to get them cleaned. Essentially, the smart divide only comes halfway up your sink or roughly just a little bit more than that, so that if you put a roaster on top of it, you can actually get water in the whole thing and not have to tilt it. Makes things a lot easier to clean. So we've been loving the smart divide. I don't think we'd ever go back to a standard sink ever again. We love our 2-unit sinks, but the smart divide just makes them that much more functional. Next up is our lovely Moen faucet. Now, this isn't any more special than a faucet that we picked and we loved it because it's gold and it has everything we wanted in it. The reason I mention is because it took us 9.5 months to get it in, and is one of the large reasons why this video is coming out weeks, if not months after some of our last reno videos. This wasn't in, and the last faucet, our temporary faucet, was awful. And we just couldn't bring ourselves to make this video without our new faucet. So here we are. Thank you, Moen, for finally sending us our faucet. So next up, we've got our garbage bin. Now, everything in this kitchen is all in the kitchen, so our garbage bins are actually tucked away in their own little drawer. It has been fabulous to have a bit of a smaller garbage can that we can change more easily, and that's tucked away and nowhere to be found. So it's been really fabulous to have this. This is something that comes standard in most of the Hawthorne kitchens, and we would never go back to anything else. It's fabulous to not have a, gross garbage can just laying around somewhere in the kitchen. It's definitely a feature we didn't expect to get, but we are loving it and just love having a recycling and garbage bin inside of a cabinet. Next up, we've got the stove, and Luke's only request in this renovation was his beautiful pot filler. Now, the pot filler actually comes in handy for a couple reasons. One, you can actually bring it out, and the reason for a pot filler is to fill pots, to boil water or do whatever you want with it, fill kettles, all that wonderful stuff. But from an accessibility standpoint, these are just absolutely amazing. And the fact that I don't have to go from the sink back to the stove and back all the time to get water is just absolutely fabulous. I didn't even think about this too much when Luke requested it, but honestly, from an accessibility perspective, they're just great. We are actually looking for a kettle to put on the actual glass top, so I don't have to have a kettle out, because Luke has a war against having anything on the counters. I don't mind as much, but it is really nice to have clean white counters. I have to say that I do love it. And so we're looking for a new kettle, so hopefully we'll find something nice that we'll add on to it and onto the kitchen soon enough. It'll be a new piece in here. Now, from a decorative perspective, I found this backsplash from an American supplier when we first started looking at different units, and I absolutely loved it. But it was $52 American a square foot, and I wasn't spending that much. So thankfully, the team that built was able to find us a more cost-effective modified version to what I was looking at in the US supplier, and we're really, really happy with how it turned out. We were hoping to put a little bit more of it in here, but you know what, in hindsight, it gives you that splash of color that we really wanted in the kitchen while keeping everything super clean. So we're really happy with it. Induction stovetop, 5 burners. It also holds up to 2 full grills. It is a fabulous unit. It's from KitchenAid. We're really, really happy with it. The nice thing is that it comes with a full child lock hold button, which with cats is really handy. We don't have children, but the fact that we are able to keep the cats safe and make sure that they don't, get hurt or anything like that is absolutely great. One of the first questions we get when people come into the kitchen and take a look around, they ask, where's your microwave? And this is probably one of the oddest things. They're becoming more and more common. It's something that you see in a lot of HGTV shows, which is where I saw it originally. I actually didn't know whether or not we'd be able to get one, but they're actually fairly cost effective if you're doing a renovation and plan on changing things up. It's a drawer microwave. Now, this is something I really wanted for the simple fact that taking things in and out from above my head is very challenging for me. And so going underneath into a drawer and picking food out is a lot more simple. So this microwave was a must for me from an accessibility perspective, but you know what? This drawer is just absolutely fabulous. So it hides away. It's the only unit we couldn't get in white, which is why it's super tucked away. Nobody sees it, and who wants to see a microwave anyways? You just flip this open and press the open button. And just like that, you've got a beautiful microwave drawer. It works great. It's very similar lifespan to any other microwave, and we've just been loving it. Heats things fairly quickly, very consistently. Just from a microwave perspective, it's been really nice to have compared to our old microwave. It's way better, so we're really happy with it. And honestly, it didn't break the bank, which was also nice. One of the next big things we did was to make sure that the stoves were in the right spot. Now, this is something that we talked about a lot with Hawthorne, something we worked with them very closely with for a few reasons. One, Stoves are fairly dangerous. Someone who can be fairly clumsy and drops things due to, strength issues and things like that. So we wanted to make sure that we kept the stoves accessible for me as possible. And that came in two different functions. We wanted that this bottom oven, if I were to ever be in a chair, be accessible for me. So we built it in a way that I can actually fit underneath the stove without touching it or anything like that when we open it. So when it's fully opened, I can actually be in a chair, take things out of the oven and put them on the counter without any safety or security questions. Now, it's still a stove, there's still concerns, but we made it as safe as humanly possible. Next up is the top oven. So the top oven, when I'm able to stand and do things like that, has been leveled so that the drawers and the racks are fully accessible. So they fully come out, which is just something that comes with the KitchenAid double ovens, but it allows me, we put this rack lower than most people would because it's at my height, so I can easily bring things on and off the counters. And so this is something that we talked about from a function perspective a lot. We measured it a few times. We made sure that when it was installed, it was done properly. There's a lot of conversations about these ovens. So I'm glad that everything worked out and the measurements and everything we did worked out perfectly. So I'm really, really happy with the installation and how everything's been functioning with our ovens. It's been great. Appliance-wise, last but not least is our lovely side-by-side fridge. Now, most people don't like side-by-sides. This was actually quite a challenging fridge to find because most people don't like side-by-sides anymore. They want a full fridge, French door with a bottom. What we were finding in the old house, which is what we had, French doors, smaller freezer on the bottom. The problem with that is accessing the freezer at the bottom for me was really, really challenging. And it got to a point where I couldn't even do it anymore. When you're someone who has a husband who works full time, I have to make at least a meal by myself, and there's not a lot of energy left. There's a lot of things that need to be either pre-prepped, frozen, fridge, that kind of stuff. So having the side-by-side allows me to have certain things in the freezer that I can access really easily. And I've got essentially these two shelves on both units, both on the fridge side and the freezer side, that allow me complete access with no bending down or anything, which just simply makes things easier for me. So we've got these two dedicated shelves for things that I'm able to eat and use and are prepped and things like that, so that we keep things as just simple as humanly possible. So next up, we've got a couple shots of the old kitchen and what it looked like before, which used to be a dining room kitchen space, into this beautiful brand new kitchen that we just absolutely love. So I hope you enjoyed the rest of the footage of the before and after. And if you liked today's video, we'd really love a like and a subscribe if you haven't already. If you have any questions or comments about this video or about the kitchen or the renovation, by all means, leave us a comment down below. Till next time, don't forget to slow your roll.